What is your view of Ethereum and what's your view of Bitcoin today? Like, how do you think of those two assets? Are they competing with each other? Are they two different things? What are they? Just walk me through that framework you use.
I think they're driven by completely different narratives, right? So Bitcoin, if you talk to someone on Wall Street, the narrative they've heard probably is it's digital gold, right? It's not to offend any Bitcoin people, but it's a slow moving asset, and that's sort of a feature, not a bug, right? It's not going to change. No developer is going to come change the mechanics of its issuance, right? People get mad about, Vitalik might change the way that it gets issued, and therefore it's not hard money or whatever, right? But you can rely on that narrative that Bitcoin's going to stay basically what it is, and it can be sort of a reserve asset in that sense.
So fair to categorize as if a trade-off is security versus like innovation, speed, et cetera, it's choosing security over the others.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Ethereum.
Ethereum, I see as a programmatic substrate for a new economy, right? It is.
What does that mean? That was smart nerd shit.
So it's the operating system for what you could build on top of it, which is other financial applications, right? Or other trust-based applications. And Ethereum is like the fuel to that, right? It's sort of, if HTTP had a money built into it or a token of value, it's like that, right? Except it's explicitly a type of financial internet. And so it's the base unit of that, and it's almost like it's a commodity that powers that whole thing.
Do you think that they compete with each other, or are they two separate things? Like, how do you think about, I think the narrative publicly is like Bitcoin versus ETH, market cap versus market cap, asset versus asset. Is that fair, or do you think that's misguided?
In some cases, they compete with each other, right? I mean, it competes with each other for mind share, right? Like some people are, institutions are investing in Bitcoin because they know it's going to be valuable over time. They don't quite understand the Ethereum narrative yet. I think they will. And so I do think they compete a little bit in that sense of like, this is going to be a permanent and important asset, but they do occupy different headspaces essentially in different market niches. They also compete a little bit, or are starting to compete a little bit in the application layer, right? Like there have been a lot of people that tried to launch application layers on top of Bitcoin. Most of them haven't gone anywhere, but it's been enough years, people are starting to do it. And so, Ethereum obviously is way far ahead. There are other competitors to Ethereum too that also have like added some incremental feature on top of Ethereum or changed it.
Other smart contract platforms.
Yeah, exactly. So, so those are, it's starting to compete a little bit in those domains, but in general, the Venn diagram is not that crossing over in my mind.
So let's just go right at, I think one of the big things that the Ethereum community continues to say that the Bitcoin community is like, you guys are idiots, like there's no way that's true, is this whole idea of ETH is money. I think the Ethereum community is like, hey, you guys are idiots in the Bitcoin community for whatever reason around Bitcoin is money, right? Do you think it is money? And then how do you kind of process, just as currency, those two assets?
I honestly don't have that strong, like one of those religious opinions that ETH is money. A lot of people tweet that, and it's a point of contention.
It's a great tweet. It gets a lot of engagement, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you ask an economist what money is, right, it's something like fungible, store value, tangible, or like, not necessarily tangible, but, portable, like it has these properties, right? And I think Ethereum mostly meets those properties. I don't know the US dollar qualifies as a store of value, but, it checks a lot of those boxes. You can use it to pay for stuff right now. People do pay for stuff with it. But I honestly don't think that's the most important debate, right? And Ethereum, one of the big criticisms of Ethereum from the Bitcoin community is that it has no capped supply. And the only way you can kind of estimate how much supply it'll have is by looking at its issuance over time. With EIP 1559, like the new rollouts of Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0, it actually looks like it might be slightly deflationary or steady state. But it's a different flavor. There's, X number of Bitcoins, right?
So there's set issuance, obviously, with Bitcoin. It's programmatic, transparent, all that stuff. With Ethereum, I think that is the big knock from Bitcoiners, right? Is, hey, whoever can change it, expand or contract the supply. I think the Ethereum community's argument is like there's security related issues as to why you would do that. And so like it's fair just to like say, okay, that's the line in the sand, and like whichever side you agree. Fair?
Sure. Yeah.
If you think one's more valuable than the other, then like that's where you're gonna kind of oscillate around, right?
Yeah. I mean, they both solve the same problem. I think a lot of the distinction is religious more than intellectual.